December 11, 2025. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. And well, this is what it looked like without all my lines. It was kind of a sell-off from yesterday's FOMC meeting. Sell-off, bounce, looked like it almost recovered the whole thing, went sideways, went down, then went up, pretty much sideways, then went up again. So this is how I drew up my chart. And I did take one trade. Unfortunately, it was a loser. And in hindsight, of course, everything in hindsight, but in hindsight, it wasn't a very good setup. So I should have skipped it. There was a few things going against it that I either overlooked or was just too eager to take the trade that I ignored. So the trade is actually right here. So there weren't too many setups today. Overall, the market made these big moves. Unfortunately, I didn't find a good, clean way to enter pretty much all of them. So in the pre-market, there was this down channel, break to the low side, bounce. Looks like it was one leg up, pull back. Second leg is also one big leg. Kind of chops around, moves up this bigger leg, which is also looked like it was two smaller legs, one leg up, sideways, another leg, pushes down, kind of holds at the EMA, pushes down this orange down channel. This green up channel, if you count it as two or as one big one, well, if you count it as two, it might be played out. But if you count it as one, it looked like it was one attempt up. Looked like it was two small legs down. Then it kind of chopped up two small legs up. It was just really noisy. But I thought there might have been a possible second entry failure. So it's from here, it's a new low. Say first entry short, pull back. Second entry short, and it's a triple test off of here. Second entry short, failure off of this candle. Now, this one feels really aggressive to me because it's right at 5 minutes after the market open. And I really wanted the EMA to be kind of below where this guy is because prices are moving both above and below it. It doesn't really matter, so there is enough room to scalp out to the high side, but it does feel a little congested. It does look like it has two legs down, but it's really tight because the legs are completed in pretty much two or three candles. So actually, I'm going to make this an almost trade because I honestly don't think I like it all that much. Maybe in real time I thought it was something great, but then in hindsight, which I'm always trying to improve because I want to be able to see the charts as if I had already known what was going to happen or have a better inkling. So you could always kind of approach the market, or I want to be able to approach the market almost like I see it, like I would see it in hindsight. So anyways, I'll call this an almost trade. Pushes up to the high side. The only thing going for it was positive was a good signal bar and a triple test. This is the high side. Again, you have one touch, two touch, potentially triple test, but there's no clean setup here. Pushes and breaks to the low side, moves down on this green down channel. There's a new low. It's a first entry short pullback, second entry short. I really wanted this trade to work, but the thing that was great about it is this green down channel needs to test the low. It did engulf this guy, move one tick above and flush down, and also engulfed it, but it didn't really close below. If this candle had just come up and touched the EMA, I would have felt a little more confident. Or this second entry leg, this one here, was a little more clear, like it actually drifted up a little bit more, had a bigger pull down than a move up, then I would have called it an actual trade. But in this case, I called it an almost trade. Perhaps for other people who are more aggressive, maybe this is an actual trade. So it pushes down, and then it does give you this real trade. So I saw this as a spike and in a shallow channel because it touched pretty well these three confirmations. Then I established this orange down channel. Low side, whether you had an overshoot or not, it's kind of up to you. Like depending on where you decide to put the channel. But for certain, you do have a second touch confirmation here. It's a first entry short pullback, second entry short, but EMA rejection off the resistance side of this orange down channel. There is enough, I mean, it's just barely, but there's enough for a 2-point scalp, but I'm going for probably just about 6 ticks. Would have worked, but I didn't take this trade. It starts pushing up. This gray up channel doesn't exist yet, so I'm going to go ahead and just make it transparent or just make it red for now. It shows up later, but it doesn't really help in real time because there's no key entry point you can take off of it. So the new low, it's a first entry short, pullback. Technically you have a second entry short here, but it's far from anything, so there's no trade there. Pushes all the way up, break of the screen up channel, tests the high, comes back down, bounces off this EMA, and potentially this gray up channel, but there's really like no second entry. It looks like the second entry here, but this is a double top because the high here is the same as the high here. So if this had only just ticked one tick above, then you could justify first entry long pullback, second entry long. So in this case, after it didn't work, I was looking for a higher low, ideally probably in this candle right here, but it's too high. You do get a higher low here, but it's too high, too close to the localized high. So there's no trade there. Pushes all the way up. You have a localized high here. Say first entry long pullback. You have a second entry long, but it's just doji and neutral candles. You could argue that it's bouncing off this great up channel, but based upon that, you said it's a second entry long. I'm looking for a higher low confirmation successfully pushing into this great up channel, but it never showed up. So it starts pushing down. Looks like it's two legs down, pushes up, and it kind of looks like it's going down again. So then I established this orange down channel. Has one touch, two touch, three touch confirmation, small breakout. Looks like it fits pretty well on the bottom. We also have a new low, say first entry short pullback. I thought this is an actual decent trade. It's an EMA rejection off the resistance side of this orange down channel. Granted, it does have one leg down, pullback, second leg, but it looks like it was push up. And although it's two legs, I was thinking the strength of this setup is good because you have three key entry points. I mean, besides the setup, there's two key entry points, like a first entry short, pullback, second entry short, EMAs acting as resistance, and this resistance of this orange down channel. The move sideways, pushes up, flushes down, break this purple down channel, test the low, then it reverses, no setups here. You have a first entry short, technically you have a second entry short here, actually second entry short here, but it doesn't set up quite nicely. Starts moving sideways, it gets a little choppy. You have a new high, so first entry long. Technically you have a second, well, actually you don't have a second entry long, never broke below this inside bar, so I saw it as a first entry long, pullback, second entry long. Second entry long, when you see this without knowing this is going to happen, it's below the EMA, it's a little ambiguous. I left it alone. Pushes down. It gets kind of choppy, hits a localized low, first entry short pullback, second entry short, second entry short. Technically, you have a second entry short failure, but I wasn't too clear on where the range was at the time. Was it here? And this is where the current range was, but I wasn't sure if there's going to be some kind of resistance here, if like the range actually cut a little lower, like the range may have started somewhere closer to this. In which case, I wasn't sure if I had enough room to scalp out, so I'm going to actually put it back to where I had it, where I had initially, or later. So then it pushes down. Technically, you have a first entry long pullback, second entry long inside bar. I'm not a fan of that. I'm looking for a higher low. You get a higher low showing up here. And it was on this established green up channel. The problem is I'm going to be buying, because you just see this, you don't know this candle is going to show up. You're going to buy into the high of a range. So no trade there. Pushes up to the high side, break, first entry long, pull back. You don't get a second entry long till way down here. At this time, I did have this established as a possible support, and later I turned it into a channel. But I didn't see a possible trade for me right here, because technically you have a first entry long pullback, second entry long way down here. You don't have a higher low, but you could argue maybe there's a bounce off of here, and you do have enough room for a scalp. But it's also on this orange down channel, so seeing this in real time, I wasn't sure if there was going to be another test of this low, of this orange down channel, or would this support actually be strong enough to push prices back up. In this case, it did push back up, and I'm looking for a higher low. Technically, you have a higher low here, but actually, I should have marked this. I think, well, it's not helpful now, but, well, excuse me. It wasn't helpful in real time, but it's kind of helpful now because it's a new low. You got a higher low, break this green up channel. You're expecting to test the high. Since this looks like it already pushed above this guy, engulfed it completely, there's a higher chance, I think, of this pushing through and at least getting a 1 or 2 point scalp. So actually there's a higher low here, I believe. Pushes up, looks like it's moving up this this red up channel. Break, test the high. I saw this as second entry long failed, second entry short. In real time, I was debating it because I saw it as localized high. It's a first entry long pullback. Technically, I have second entry long here, also a new low. First entry short pullback, second entry short. The thing I didn't really like is the previous 3 candles we're just kind of side by side. It is drifting higher, but if this didn't have such a long tail, because this one looked like it came all the way back down, so it's giving me a little caution because sellers were able to push it all the way back down. If this tail was cut and it fit more nicely on this green up channel, then I think there might have been a trade. The other thing going against it is this blue dotted line here, which is a little hard to see, is the localized or just the high of day of today. And I'd be buying into the highs. Granted, you are expecting a test of this red up channel, but it just felt a little bit risky. Prices come back down, break of this orange down channel, test the low, pushes up on this red up channel, localized first entry long, pull back, second entry long. This is actually where I take my one trade, and it was a failure. So I'll tell you what I was thinking in real time, and then in hindsight, pretty much immediately when I lost the trade. And I think a little bit while the trade was going on, I was kind of regretting it immediately. This red up channel is broken and tested the high. It made a second attempt coming back down. Why in the world would I think it's going to go back up? But what I was thinking at the time is bouncing off this blue support. This blue support is what I established because I noticed prices are kind of respecting this. EMA looked like it's kind of acting as support. So I thought, oh, this is a decent signal bar. At least it might get a quick 1 point scalp. So actually going for 1 point scalp because I was cautious of going for 2 points because I know I'd be running into the high of day. Overall bias of the day is bullish. Granted, there are these pretty substantial pullbacks. So that's what I was thinking in real time. I decided, okay, I want to take this trade, enter here, and then it gets stopped out one tick below here. So now that I had the benefit of hindsight and seeing the folly of this thinking, I'm buying into this potential resistance area. I'm also buying into a localized high. This high, granted, this dotted line is tracing the high of day at the moment. It's getting pretty close to trying to buy right at the high. So my expectation would have to have been there's enough momentum to push it up higher. The break of this red up channel is already tested, so there's probably going to be a little bit of a pullback or a correction. So there's really no reason to take this trade, yet I took it. So knowing that, I kind of realized, okay, I'm getting sloppy. Plus this time of day is 10:24 Pacific Standard. I know sitting through all this previous price action and not marking or not taking any trades very likely affected me. And so I was getting sloppy. I couldn't trust myself. So I decided not to take any further trades, but I still watched the market. So prices continue moving. It starts pushing up. I drew this transparent red channel because it looked like it fit pretty well, but I'm looking for a setup. I'm looking for reasons to go long, not necessarily a reason to go short, because as I said, there's clearly a bullish bias, but when it does pull back, there are some pretty substantial little corrections. Substantial being like relative to the overall price action, the pullbacks aren't small. They're pretty big relative to the size of the moves. So it pushes up, break the green up channel, test the high. I'm definitely not looking for a short. Technically, I have a first entry long. You could say there's a second entry long by the count, but it also looks like it's just one channel down. I would actually say this is the actual visual first entry long. And then you have a second entry long here. Unfortunately, these two aren't really good signal bars. Plus, it's below the EMA. Just nothing I really like about that. Looking for a higher low. You don't get a higher low, so I'm just abandoning any thoughts of taking a trade at this point. So I'm just waiting now. Prices continue moving up. Kind of rejects off this high side, but it starts breaking through. So I'm thinking it's a failed breakout of this. Well, it's transparent now. And it has been all this time, but I'm just going to make it green for now to make it easier to talk about. So break this green up channel. There's a possibility it could come back down to test the low side, but this isn't the best fitting channel. So I'm watching. There's a first entry long pullback. Technically, you have a second entry long here, but it's an inside bar. The signal bar isn't the best. Pushes back down. Looks like it's one leg pullback, second leg. No clean setups. This is also just side-by-side congestion. Initially, I'm going to go ahead and make this transparent again. Initially, I was thinking we're moving down this green down channel as a break and tested the low. Comes down to the low side, then it pushes back out. This second break, I thought there's a possibility that there could be a channel right here represented by this red one. 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, because it fits the low side pretty well. There's an overshoot here. So my expectation is one leg up, pull back, potentially a second leg up that's going to show up here, about the same size as this guy. But it doesn't do that. So then my read isn't quite right. I don't quite have a good grasp of what's going on right now. It is a new low. It's a first entry short pullback. You technically have second entry short, but it's the inside bar. Kind of pushes back out. Now keep in mind the time of day. This is already the last 10 minutes. So I'm definitely not going to be trying to take any trades. Kind of pushes into the close. So overall, it was a kind of an interesting day. Not very many setups, and this setup here is it's an avoidable mistake that I shouldn't have taken. So in other words, if it was a trade that I thought was a good setup and it failed, then I would have thought, okay, it's a high probability trade potentially that just didn't work out. More often than not, when I have a failure of a trade, it's likely I misread it or gave it too much credit on one factor or another, or I was just bored and out of FOMO or something. But this is definitely a bad trade. Probably the only decent trade would have been, I think, maybe this guy. But this one, even then, this higher low is already kind of pressed to the high. So I think maybe the only decent trade out of the, I think, three or four that I marked might have been this guy because it has enough room. Context is okay. You don't see this great up channel just yet. This one is so-so. It's a break. Actually, I would say this one and this one might have been the two decent setups that are definitely better than the actual trade that I took. So hopefully that was helpful.